So this got announced a few months ago, but the thing is, I didn't really pay attention to it until now, until my friend Jason sent me this bit of news that I decided to really talk about. Now, there is a character I always enjoy reading, and that's the Rocketeer. I love the pulp adventure stories he has. IDW, when they do something with him, it's usually more often than not. That character is basically um, that character is essentially a, how do I put this? It's always fun. Like they don't usually do an ongoing with the Rocketeer. It's just a character. They're like, well, we haven't done a miniseries in a while, so let's do this. And this next miniseries kind of flew under my radar. They just said the Rocketeer, the Island, and I remember watching a trailer because they really seemed to be like all excited for this series, but I was kind of like of the mindset of yeah, it looks cool, but like what's the big draw behind it? And there was, if I remember right, this trailer, there was an image of a character that looked like Popeye, and I was like, oh, isn't that cheeky? Not remembering that, Popeye is public domain. Well, it was brought to my attention by my friend Jason Voorhees 2011 when it was announced that this new series, The Rocketeer, The Island, that island is Skull Island because the Rocketeer will be facing King Kong. Now I know what you're going to say. King Kong isn't public domain. He is and he isn't. You see, you can use the novel that was written in movie novels have been around since forever. But the Marion C. Cooper novel that was published alongside the 1933 movie is in public domain. It is a little hard to say, like, oh, I'm using this version of Kong, but it like, again, at first I thought it was a Dynamite IDW crossover, but no, this is basically IDW kind of skirting that of a crossover with Dynamite. Anyway, so we are getting the island is in fact Skull Island, and it won't be just the Rocketeer teaming up with the likes, meeting the likes of Kong. It'll also be him meeting Popeye, like I said, and Tintin. There's also talk that other in public domain characters will be utilized in this comic. So there is a few characters in here that are going to, there's some characters that are going to be utilized in this comic from the public domain, both heroes and villains alike. Those are the ones we know so far. So I would imagine, the Black Terror, if we're going by heroes, like the Black Terror, a lot of characters that were from Project Superpowers, they're probably going to be used here because they're public domain. There's a ton. I think people don't realize how there's a ton of in public domain heroes and villains. I mean, when we think of in public domain characters, we think of like Zorro and Dracula and Robin Hood and this and that. But there's actually like a good ton of characters from the 20s and 30s that are in public domain because those comic publishers don't exist anymore. So there's a good chance we could encounter them. But again, the main draw here is we're having the Rocketeer meet Kong. Is it, basically the novel version of Kong? Yes. Do I care? No, because I want more stuff with the big monkey. I want more monkey. So, yeah. At first, because I initially thought that this crossover was going to be a crossover between Dynamite and IDW, and then I looked into it, was like, no, it is them trying to skirt it, because that's what they're doing with it's funny enough, they're doing this with Rocketeer, and they're also doing this with Godzilla in Godzilla Monster Piece Theater. So, because like I said, we are getting Godzilla fighting in Romeo and Juliet, and we're getting a few other stories here and there. And we of course had the original Monster Piece Theater that was featured like Dracula and the Great Gatsby and all that. So I think that's how they're going to skirt around doing that with a full-on one with Dynamite. So we'll see. But yeah, I think this is really cool. It does sound like a as you guys know, I do love the Rocketeer. So to have a comic where he's going to be meeting Popeye, who's not a horror character, thank God. I have said before that I will never watch the Popeye horror movies because I have a deep connection to that character through of a family member who's been long passed. So I will not tarnish that my family member's memory by watching that crap. So, but I will watch Popeye possibly fight Kong. That's more in line with the character. So so it's a nice breath of fresh air to have someone actually writing a story with Popeye in it where he's actually Popeye. And to have Tintin there, that's really cool. Could we see other characters like, Dracula and others? That's a possibility. But I think it'll be more like other in public domain heroes and villains here and there. Which is funny because it's funny that we talk a lot about the Rocketeer as a pulp character. You think he'd be public domain. He's actually not. He was actually created in the 90s. The late 80s, he was created in the late 80s, early 90s. Even I forget that sometimes. He's meant to be like a throwback to that era of like adventure and pulp era characters. So I find it funny that the one character who isn't public domain in this comic is our main character and the main focus of our adventure. Capitalism. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of the Rocketeer, the island? Are you guys excited? Are you guys not? Actually, it's kind of funny. We could actually get Gorgo, too. Gorgo's public domain, comic-wise. So we could have Kong versus Gorgo in here. I just realized that. Anyway, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.